Here comes the weather.
Good morning, I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill from the KMET Weather Center. As we move through the daytime hours in the Beaumont and the Banning area, expect sunny skies, highs expected in the upper 60s. For the daytime hours in the IE area, there'll be sunny skies, highs in the lower 70s. And for Monday daytime in the Coachella Valley, sunshine, highs upper 70s. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez. Good to have each and every one of you with us. How was your weekend? We want to know in social media chat. And if it was a good one, let us know. If it was a great one, let us know. And if it was just let us know anyway. We don't mind. We like all news, and every bit of the news. I know Jesse Sanchez over there had a very interesting weekend watching a very interesting show, which I have a lot of questions about. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my to-do list. But, Jesse, is it worth watching? What's the name of it, and how does it go?
Yeah, so the movie's on Netflix, and it's called Don't Look Up. Now, I heard about it when it came out, but I just didn't really look into it. But as I watched it, I was pleasantly surprised and horrified because, oh my God, that movie felt like if this happened in real life, this is how I would assume it would exactly play out. But it was a really good movie. I was just floored away by just how horrible the government was.
Okay.
And it was an interesting movie. I don't really talk about too many movies that I'm not a big Leonardo Dicaprio fan. But man, this movie was flooded with so many celebrities. It was crazy. But I enjoyed their role in it, so it was fun.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's actually the 27th Annual Critics' Choice nominee. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, which I'm not going to lie, man. Her role in this, based on just the trailer that I've seen, is amazing, right? She totally harnesses like a different character. And I feel like these are real people in real life, right?
Oh, most definitely. I loved her role in this. She was the crazy scientist in this movie. When you watch it, you'll understand.
The smart, crazy scientist, right? That nobody wants to listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then let's see, Kate Blanchett, Rob Morgan, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, Tyler Perry, and a bunch more. Ariana Grande's in there. Michael Chiklis is in there. Some pretty big names, right? And they call it, this movie is offbeat, provocative, witty, and irreverent. And you know what? I say good because, oddly enough, asteroids are a thing that we've been seeing a lot in the news. And we're always like, kind of like, I know me specifically, I'm kind of like, when they say, oh, they're going to pass, I'm like, okay, I'm glad to hear that they're going to pass, right? But you always go, what about that one that may never pass, right? Are we ahead of that? And when I saw like about a month and a half ago that they started to put out like a test mission to kind of hit a asteroid on an orbit to somewhere, I was like, are they preparing for the worst case scenario? And if you look at NASA and you look at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and all the other people that are in these kind of the no moments, they literally do research what they can, not just of planets, but also of asteroids, projections of where they're going eventually, right? Now, we know about Halley's Comet. That always comes around every so often based on certain science that they can do about, certain things. And that one's pretty bright. It's pretty hard to miss that. But what about a dark asteroid, right? Can you see it? Back to the telescope that you were talking about. That thing sees like an 8K, right? But it's also able to see not just visible. It has all sorts of other different, like, okay, you know what infrared is, right?
Yes.
You know what night vision is, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay, do you know what, like, ultraviolet is? Like being able to see ultraviolet rays.
Okay, I know about UV rays, but I didn't know we were able to see such a thing.
Yes, it's on a spectrum, right? Human eyes can't see it, but technology can. It's kind of like a heat map, right, of your body. We can't see that, but certain technology can. So that's kind of what this new device has, all of those abilities. And then just like Photoshop and like turning up the gain or the gamma or um, enhancing certain pictures with like inverting colors and stuff, you can see other things from afar. But because it has the ability to zoom like 3 galaxies beyond us, you can see a lot of closer things if it's in our visible airspace that we can see, not behind like some other planet or like rotating around a bigger asteroid, like what's behind, right? So you got to have a point of view. So if they had like 3 of those in 3 different sectors of space, then you'd be able to see our space area like in 3-dimensional space. So I say if they get to that point, then we're really ahead of it. But some people just think this is fantasy and that's it, but they don't realize the situation. And I got to ask this: what is the situation that happens that you could talk about in the movie?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, without giving up the whole thing, is there a moment where you're like, what the heck are people thinking when they're talking about the asteroid?
Oh, most definitely. Because just like the whole point of the thing is, don't look up. That was the government's method of not dealing with it. Don't look
Okay.
up.
Oh, don't look at what's coming.
Pretty much.
Like, be
It's
unaware. Doesn't matter.
yeah. It's just ignore. They're just gaslighting everything.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because that's kind of the way government is sometimes, right? Like, let's not deal with reality, right? You're like, reality's coming. Who's going to pay my bills, right? Who's going to make it okay to go back to work? Who's going to make it okay for us not to get sick? Who's going to make it okay for us to ... right? I remember hearing from one person, and he says, you cannot depend on government for everything. You just can't. And I actually agree with that 100%. You cannot wait for them to save you, right? We talk about FEMA all the time, right? And FEMA is a really good organization when it works, right? But if it takes forever to call them out, or forever for them to roll out, or forever for them to get more supplies, well, then what good is FEMA for people that need it, right? Now, when they step in and they help certain areas out, and they do it for a long time rather than a short time, well, then it matters, right? Because then you go, okay, I'm glad your organization exists. Kind of like Red Cross, kind of like Salvation Army, kind of like all those organizations that help you out in a moment of need, right? But when they don't, or they put like limited resources just because the media is kind of covering it or not covering it, then you go, well, what happened to Puerto Rico, right? Like, remember, it was like, oh, it's an island that we can't get to. Like, it's very difficult to get there. Okay. Do you have vessels that can get there? Do we live in the dark ages that we can't just get there in person? Like, what is FEMA all about, right? They need military support. I get that. What were we doing? If we can get bombs around the world holding in a certain like sector of ocean water and able to bomb a country overnight, I'm pretty sure we can get a big cruiser to be able to get a bunch of personnel from one place to another really quick, right? I mean, look at the big like airplanes that have like massive amounts of missiles and or other things. Load 3 of those up and have them land in Puerto Rico. It's not that hard, but people don't like to think this way. And it's actually very easy, but, neither here nor there. So when you get to that on like the surface level of the Earth, you go, how the heck are you going to protect me from outer space? Right? Like, how are you going to do that? And everybody thinks about asteroids in a different way. We remember the lady, right, that had the asteroid land in her, like, bedroom, right, on her bed, right, through... You remember that? The one that came through the roof? How did that go?
Oh yeah, I remember. Like it was something. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I remember it like hit her room or something.
Yeah, it came through like her roof and then landed right next to her on the bed, right? That she was sleeping on. Thank God she wasn't like 3 inches to the right. Otherwise, she would have been technically more dead than not, right? It would have gone probably like through her body. But my point is this. If you can't stop a little thing like that, how are you going to stop a big thing, right? And I think that's what that movie kind of covers, the science behind it, them discovering big asteroid coming, or a measure of asteroids. I really don't know. I have yet to see it, but my point is this. Once I see it, I'm going to know more, and then I'll be able to speak about it. But I do recommend that if people are looking for a good movie to watch that will put some good smart in your head, this is a good movie. And seeing the Leonardo DiCaprio kind of like hyperventilate and kind of have like an anxiety attack about something. I don't even know what that's about, but it looks real. I say good acting, good actors, and I hope it's nominated for something else, right?
I hope it does. It was just I wasn't really expecting too much from the movie, but I enjoyed it so much. So it was quite a surprise for me.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. You're very. How do I say this? Like when you like a movie, I like a movie. If it's like horror, then I go, that's for you, not for me. But
Yeah.
but I understand, and sometimes I go, okay, all right. But my point is, like, when you like other movies like this out of the blue, I go, okay, something's right about it, right? Because you're not the type to kind of watch these type of movies, right? Like,
I really don't. Like I
yeah,
do, but I don't. Like I prefer to watch horror movies because I know what happens, monster kills bad guys or ghost kills good guy. I don't know. But
yeah,
either way, just these movies yeah, like you said, it makes you think a bit and then it makes you reflect on the real world and you're just like, "Oh my God, are we like this really?"
yeah, yeah. And that's the problem. We are, right? So that's the mentality right now that we got to fight. We just got to be on the right side of things and go, I do not want this mentality. I do not want this to happen because these are the type of people that I might be surrounding myself, and I don't want this in my life. And that's what the administration needs to say. But there you go. I'm going to stick to that, and that's my thought, only my thought, and evidently not yours, and that's okay. Pratube is watching. Thank you, Pratube. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Denise Roberts is tuning in social media land. Thank you for tuning in. Patricia Sommer says, good morning. Good morning. Stephanie Reed says, hello. Happy editing and onset of a commercial for this glorious, snowy, cold, busy day ahead for today. Awesome. Congratulations. Judy says, good morning, Aaron, Jesse, and everyone. Appreciate you watching from Walla Walla, Washington. Well, you know what? I love Walla Walla, Washington. Stephanie Reed says the LA Rams beat Tampa Bucks and Tom Brady is out of the Super Bowl. Well, who knew? Ellie Gonzalez is tuning in there. Says, good morning, all. Happy Monday from Georgia. Well, we appreciate each and every one of you. Now, here's the reality. Look, there's a lot of things going on. And I will say, some people are aware of it. Some people are not. And coronavirus, is it doing its worst against us? I know some people are kind of on the fence on that because the news is kind of everywhere. Lately, we've been seeing, honestly, more children in the hospital, right? And unfortunately, because of that, we're seeing probably more people in the end because if you have children getting sick, well, where are they getting sick at, right? Are they getting sick at the supermarket? Are they getting sick at school? Are they getting sick at the mall? Where are they getting sick, Jesse?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. School?
I would say yes. The chances are high that they get sick at school, right? That's where you usually get the cold. That's where you get the flu. And then little junior, Joey or Stephanie, come home and all of a sudden, guess who else is sick? Three other people probably, right? Especially if they all live together. So, look, do we need to do something more? I say yes. And here's what I say. I get that the shots are good for adults, right? 12 and over, right? But what's wrong with giving minimal shots at small dosages to the youth of today? Okay, now again, it's to each and everybody's own personal view. But when I saw a little kid in the hospital, and I'm not sure which person posted on my Facebook, if I can, I'll bring it up. But I was really like, oh man, are you kidding me? I couldn't, and the kid had to be like 5 years old, in the hospital bed, all by themselves. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, that's terrible. It was one of those things you don't want to see, Jesse. And then when you do see it, you go, oh, come on. And I don't know the person personally, because I have a lot of people on Facebook that I honestly have never met in person. But I will say, when you see something like that, you kind of go, like, what are we doing, right? How are we helping each other? And you honestly don't want the worst case scenario, which is the person not going to be alive, right? You don't want that. You don't want to hear that, right? So you see all the comments and you go, oh, I want to give a confident comment to this person, but I don't know if I can because you don't know what the end result is. So you just go, you know what? I'm going to pray as much as possible. I hope something happens good. I don't want to hear the opposite. And then you kind of hold your breath. You go, okay, right? And I've been thinking about this because I saw it, I think, on Friday. I'm trying to see the posts on the ones that I like. I don't know how to bring that up. But I just know when these things happen, it puts us in a bad, like, I don't know how to put it, but we have to just be mindful of the kids. We really do. Because if we're not, then where are we at as a people, right? And I feel some people are just not viewing it, honestly, as they need to, right? Which is, hello, we need to take care of each other. Hello, we need to make sure we're all safe with each other. And I just feel we're not doing that right now, Jesse. And I hate that. But back to what I'm saying, if you put small doses of what you have for adults, it's like children's Tylenol, right? Anybody that wants their kid not to suffer will give them children's Tylenol. It's just incremental. It's not a lot. You give that for the little body, right? Once you figure that out, you'll be ahead of it. And you could probably do it as little as like 3 years old, technically. Like a tenth of what you would normally give an adult. Give that to the little one, and then they'll be more better than not. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be good against Om is a whole other thing that, honestly, we're not ahead of. Like I keep saying, once the Pfizer one comes out, I do recommend getting that one, because then you'll be good and ahead of the next several months. But, again, variants are everything, and that's what people are not understanding. But I think we kind of need to speak as to this, because this is the part where we don't want to get like in June and July and figure like, oh, we're over it now that we have the latest Pfizer, right? Because there are always new variants, Jesse. And because of that, we have to make sure that we're aware of kind of ahead of time. Like, okay, for example, last June and July and August, we started to hit a lull. And when we hit a lull, we kind of were like, do we need a booster? Do we need a second? Do we need a fall? What do we need? And government kind of like stalled. I don't know if you remember this, but they stalled. And Pfizer was fighting for it. Moderna was fighting for it. And Johnson & Johnson were fighting for it, going, we need a second shot. Okay? Now, everybody basically thinks of that differently, but you know what I mean. A seasonal shot. Let's just call it that. Second stage, okay? Fall season, right? Ahead of flu, ahead of cold, ahead of coronavirus, right? And then government said, okay, fine. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and approve it, right? But my point is, we need to be smart, kind of like that movie, right? We need to be smart ahead of, not the don't look up, but don't look around, right? Don't look around, everybody gets sick. And then help each other out. Because here is a situation that the World Health Organization spoke about. We're going to talk about it next here on the morning show. Stay tuned with us. Keep your comments coming. Keep your opinions coming. Even if you disagree, we want to hear it. We don't mind. And we like to think smarter when we do disagree. Does that make sense? All right, we'll be right back right after these messages. Stay tuned.
You're running out of letterhead. What do you do? Lithopass Printing. You need business cards. Now what? Lithopass Printing. Invitations to a wedding? Lithopass Printing and Banning is the answer. Lithopass Printing can provide banners, signs, and blueprints. Think of Lithopass Printing and Banning for quality graduation, birthday party, and baby shower invitations. Lithopass Printing also provides lamination, faxing, and photo prints. If you need it inked, make it Lithopass Printing. Lithopass Printing and Banning.
Here's to your health with Joshua Lane. Ideas you can use to be healthy and stay healthy. The current thinking about beauty, fitness, and longevity. Every Tuesday and Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Wellness talk you can use. Here's to your health with Joshua Lane on KMET, naturally.
Standard time is here. That means shorter days and cooler nights that make you want to stay inside. Don't get caught in the cold. Franklin Mechanical Systems can do a preventative maintenance check on your heating unit. Get it working right. For cleaning, repair, or a new installation, call them for a free estimate. Franklin Mechanical Systems, for all your residential and commercial heating and air conditioning needs. Call their Beaumont office at 951-845-1000. That's 951-845-1000, and stay warm today.
Hi everyone, Dave Levine here. The Dave Levine Show is back on the air. 10 to 11 a.m. Wednesday mornings on KMET 1490. Join me for an hour of Law & Order stories and commentary. Law & Order is now the #1 issue for Californians. If you miss it live, you can hear or watch it 24/7 on either SoundCloud or live stream. See you there. Thank you. Can't you see? Just a few seconds.
What is commitment and why is it so hard to achieve? The new book, Committed, by Dr. Carmen Hara and Alexandra Hara, will make you reevaluate the way you think about love. Committed is a relationship manual that unfolds in 2 parts: the work you need to perform on the inside and the 7 distinct archetypes you'll encounter on the outside. Committed, a new book available on Amazon by Dr. Carmen Hara and Alexandra Hara, will help to find and keep the love you deserve. Committed, available now on Amazon.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just go to 12ignoremyscore.com right now. That's www.12ignoremyscore.com. Auto financing the easy way. 12ignoremyscore.com. Get started today. Auto financing the easy way.
Back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. And Rosalva is tuning in from LA. Thank you for tuning in. Brian Scott Tubman is tuning in as well. We appreciate you. Thank you. Lots of questions. World Health Organization actually has some answers. And I like to find the truth about what they're always saying, because honestly, they kind of know what's up. And I hate to say it that way, but I always say you want to know what people are saying as the World Health Organization, because they look at the world as a whole. And when you look at that, you can be always ahead of things. For example, in certain countries like Turkey, for example, they're hitting a very big situation with the Libra, which is their form of currency, right? And I think it's Libra. Maybe it's not Libra. Maybe that's something else. I can never remember. Anyway, their currency is hitting an all-time, I want to say, low. So they've got a lot of things happening there that are probably going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And you're going to see a lot of violence there in the region. You're going to say, what the heck is happening there? And when inflation rises, and then, let's put it this way, Jesse. Obviously, you go shopping, right? Obviously, you get gas, right? Obviously, your dollar goes a certain way, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's take the math of like $100. Okay, how many times can you fuel up your vehicle at the current rate that it is now?
I might be able to do it 2.5 times.
Okay, all right. Let's say 3 times. Let's just say, round it up, 3 times. Okay. Basically that's like $35 a pop, or $32, right? Okay. And your vehicle's, pretty average, right? In a good way. In other words, it's not like super a gas guzzler, right? You don't have a hybrid, right?
No.
Okay. Now, let's take just that, and let's now say you live in Turkey, but you can only fuel it up 1 time. What would happen to the economy? Yeah.
Well, I would have to buy a couple horses, attach it to the front of my car, and go, yeah!
Or a bicycle, or a motorcycle, or something to figure out how to do it. Does that make sense?
Most definitely. Horse and buggy. Here we go.
That's exactly what Turkey's going to face in the next 3 weeks. because not only is the expenses high, their version of their dollar, known as I think the Libra, is hitting an all-time low. Okay, so that's where they're at. I had this discussion with my mother so that she could understand. I kind of did with like a loaf of bread, but with you, I think that's the best way to say it. And people go, "Huh? That doesn't make sense. Like $100 for gasoline? That makes no sense." Yeah, watch the next several weeks in Turkey, and then you'll understand everything. And it's a really, really sad situation because it's honestly a combination of things. It's greed, which we've talked about, right, Jesse? Greed can be what suffers for people.
Yep.
It's greed. It's I will say this, kind of like markets inflating things to compensate for their own lack of money. So everybody kind of raises prices when they really shouldn't. They should all kind of just say, hey, let's all leave it kind of where it's supposed to be instead of inflate it all of a sudden. And we know like gasoline industries do this from time to time, right? That's why we're like at $5 on average, right? When we used to be $3 just like 4 years ago, right? That, and then a combination of government, and the government of Turkey is not good because they basically made it so that their currency is like 30 cents to our dollar. You understand now a little bit like what people are having to suffer over there? And then there's certain legal things which make it so that people can't even recycle on their own. You have to trust a corporation to recycle for you. You can't even recycle on your own. Because some people, and I know they're homeless, because they go and recycle bottles, they recycle cans, they recycle things, and then you make some money from it, right? But imagine doing like, I don't know, how can I put it? Okay, 3 big containers, whereas it would be like $18, maybe anywhere from $16 to $20, right? But now it's only $3. That's the way Turkey treats recyclables for the average person. But if you're a corporation, they'll pay you $23. Weird, right? So that's the math of what's happening in Turkey. And some people go, well, what does that matter to us here in the U.S.? And I say this, whatever happens on European soil or on the other side of the world will happen here eventually in a weird way. We've seen it with coronavirus, we've seen it with economies, and we've seen sometimes economies kind of all level out in a weird way. Argentina leveled out about 3 years ago. A lot of people didn't do the research on that, but it really went bad. And when it went bad, some people saw it coming, some people were aware of it, and some people were like, what are we going to do? I only know because our garage Latino, Ricardo Rodriguez, actually kind of gave me that information, and then I did the research. I said, oh my God. He goes, yeah, pretty soon the dollar is going to go there. He goes, I know it's only like 93 cents of what it used to be, but given certain projections, it's going to be worse like in the next few years. I said, huh. And now that I'm doing this research, I'm like, what is it right now? Because if you do inflation, all right, at back to shopping, right? If you do inflation and you do the average shopping and you compare it to what you used to pay like 3 years ago, pre-coronavirus, are you paying more for shopping? What do you think, Jesse?
Yes, most definitely.
Okay. Now, we all have a minimum wage, but the question is, what should the minimum wage be? Does minimum wage stay with inflation? And the answer is no. It's usually 3 to 4 years lagging. But we've had such a sharp increase in inflation or average common item like, okay, let's just say Pepsi, right? Average Pepsi, like for a 6-pack, $3. Let's just say it was $3 like 3 years ago. Now it's $6. 3 years later, that's double the price. That's the way eggs are. That's the way milk is. That's the way stuff that we normally buy, including bread, are more expensive than they used to be, and we're actually having to pay it. We're not even thinking, how quick did it sharply rise? Now, we get it, and we don't. We think, well, is that because of coronavirus? And I say, no, it's because of greed. It's called people taking advantage of everyone. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, corporations, they just want to maximize profit.
Yeah.
Profit. I mean, in my perfect world, you should be able to work 40 hours, maybe 45, depending on what you do. You should be able to afford a place to live.
Yep.
That's just what it is. It's these homes are so expensive, and then people will be like, "Oh, well, get a better job." Uh, I'm sorry, not everybody can get a better job because if we all take the better jobs, no one's gonna do the other stuff.
Yeah, true. Very
So
true.
it's just like everyone who's saying, "Oh, get a better job." So it's pretty much what they're saying is, "Oh, you want slaves."
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. In other words, if the roles were reversed, would you charge top dollar? I would say no, Jesse. I would think you would be a good homeowner, right? And you would say, look, I gotta pay my stuff if, for example, something needs fixing, but I'm not gonna basically rape you by inflating it so much. I'm gonna help your family out during coronavirus, and for the next 3 years, don't worry. I know everybody else is charging $1,800, but I'm gonna charge you the normal $1,300, right? Because you do the math, you go, okay, that's normal. Um, that's normal mentality. Abnormal mentality is I gotta make my money, gotta make my money, gotta make my money during the worst time of making money, right? Where government should say, hey, hold up, let's all be reasonable with this. You guys are inflating things way too much, which they do sometimes on certain things, but they don't press on it hard enough, right? Because that's called price gouging, right? And in essence, that's kind of what the supermarkets are allowing for certain companies to do with us, which need to pay for food, right? Now, I get it. There's certain like Doritos and there's certain like things that we don't need in order to kind of, be alive. But some people depend on this just to stay alive. Does that make sense? Like they get the cheapest of things to stay alive. And I'm the kind of mentality that go, you know what? Just give me a bunch of protein powder, give me water, and I'll figure it out every single day. That. If I had to pull punches, I would do that every single day, right? And I'd probably become leaner, I'd probably become meaner, and I'd probably be okay with it because at least my body, is not suffering. But back to just normalcy of what we do. If you have a family of 3, you got kids at the house, they need to eat. They're growing, right? You don't want to make them suffer. So I would say, okay, I'm going to have a protein shake. You're going to have a protein shake. We're all going to have protein shakes. And then for lunch, we're going to have sandwiches. And then for dinner, we're going to have protein shakes. And then we'll be fine, right? But not every family thinks like that. Not every family wants protein shakes left, right, and center. But then I say, okay, peanut butter jelly, tuna. And then very, inexpensive things. Let us get over the hump. And I feel that's where we're at for the next 3 years because government's not doing the right thing. Gas prices are still going high, and honestly, coronavirus is still real. But back to groceries, nobody's reducing, going back to kind of the way it was. Certain grocery chains I've gone to, actually, they're very normalized. And then all of a sudden, other ones I go, how come everything is like double? Who's inflating the cost here? This is called food that we need to eat, right? I get fruits and vegetables because that's kind of a commodity that, if you have only so many, like avocados, that's going to go up in price, right? Apples, that's going to go up in price, right? Grapes, that's going to go up in price depending on the season, right? But normal stuff that you could do in a factory, like bread, I don't buy it. I don't think you're hurting Wonders or any other like company that knows how to inflate prices just because they feel like they want to. Go ahead, Jesse.
Quick question: is it legal to make a garden in your front lawn?
Is it legal to make a garden in your front lawn? It's not illegal.
Okay, I was just serious. I was just curious because it'd be like, to be honest, it'd be a lot better for people to make their own food. Have a garden in front of their front lawn instead of spending all that money trying to make like a giant to make their front lawn like super green because we're in a drought, so you're wasting water watering your lawn. So wouldn't it be better just to grow vegetables? But
it depends on the type of vegetable. Some vegetables require more water than not. So
that is true.
I would go with self-sustaining vegetables. And here's some self-sustaining vegetables nobody thinks about. For example, oranges need a lot of water. Okay, apples, lots of water. Avocados, not so much. All right, but nobody likes avocado trees. I say, oh, why not? That is called protein for days, right? And there's so many different ways to make avocado. So avocado, I would invest in an avocado tree, technically, all right? Because you'll have food for years to come. Just get a couple slabs of tortillas, put the avocado in, make some eggs, avocado like toast. Avocado has a lot of uses, right? So avocado doesn't need a lot of water, and it's a tree. Does that make sense? So avocado tree, invest in that. That's number one. The next kind of really good item to probably have is, well, you guys tell us in social media. Do you guys have gardens where you grow things that make sense for you long term? I know some people have chilies. I say, okay, that's kind of cool. That doesn't require a lot of water, but that's more like for taste. It's not for sustenance. So I would go for something that is sustaining, right? Nobody ever grows bananas, although bananas actually are very easy to grow because it's basically a banana tree, right?
It's a tree. I remember someone saying that bananas are very like they grow like very like a weedy, so you have to like manage them.
Well, you have to go up high in the tree and then get them basically before they fall. That's the biggest thing. But for example, some people like cucumbers. I don't like cucumbers. But you could grow cucumbers in the ground. Potatoes, right? Potatoes are really good, and they actually do not require as much water as apples do. So there's that, right? And they're highly nutrient in certain things because the skin is good for you, has lots of iron in it. The inside is pretty high in carbs. But if you ever had to live on something, remember the movie The Martian?
He lived off potatoes.
Yeah, and he just had to get kind of a little bit and then recycle it, plant a bunch, and within 3 weeks, they were already growing, right? And they grow in masses, right? So they grow really fast. That's what you want. You want something that grows really fast. And then, honestly, I would probably level it out with something known as lemons. Oddly enough, people don't understand this, but lemon trees actually do not need as much water as oranges. Odd enough, right? And they're very thick on the outside layer in order to hold in the juice on the inside. Whereas oranges technically leak, just so you know. So, back to several of the ones that I would put in the front yard. I would put those. That would be my choice. But strawberries actually need a lot of water. What's another fruit that you're thinking?
Tomatoes.
Oh, tomatoes, actually, smart. Very good. They do not require a lot of maintenance. They grow really quick. And because they grow really quick, they could be made for days, right? So they actually take, honestly, anywhere from like 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the soil. So get Miracle-Gro, add that to your soil, and you'll be good for the rest of life. Because tomatoes grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. It's the vine that keeps giving, literally. If you remember that, you'll remember everything. So yeah, there you go. All right, back to this news. The World Health Organization say this. They warned today that although people across the globe must learn to live with COVID for the foreseeable future, they cannot give this virus a free ride. Okay? They said this. Dr. Tedros said, there are different scenarios for how the pandemic could play out and how the acute phase could end. But it's dangerous to assume that will be the last variant or that we are in the end game. On the contrary, globally, the conditions are ideal for more variants to emerge. He listed a slew of achievements and concerns in health over the past year, which is like, hey, we've done a lot here, including increasing access to medicines and health, the declining use of tobacco, the burden of antimicrobial resistance. But he said this, ending the acute phase of the pandemic must remain our collective priority. I 100% agree. I keep saying that. We have to do it as a whole. He insisted that we can end COVID as a global health emergency, and we could do it this year, but we have a long way to go. He said it requires meeting the target to vaccinate at least a minimum of, he says, 70%, I say a minimum like 68%, of the population of each country by the middle of the year. I say actually by now. They're behind it. With a focus on people who are most at risk, I say yes to that 100%. If you have certain immunocompromised situations already forming in you, you need to be on the forefront of getting a vaccine. I know some people are against it, but I say, trust me, if you have diabetes or health issues or heart disease, you'll want to get this ahead of time. Trust me on that. Some people have lung issues. That could be a problem. Some people get asthma. That could be a problem. Some people get kidney disease. That's a major problem, especially with especially in the news, what we're looking at. If you're at risk with any of those things, you'll want to get, I would say, Pfizer and or Johnson & Johnson or AstraZeneca if you're around the world. But that's just my own opinion. Take it for what it is. But he said that, and then he said with the focus on people who are most at risk, as well as boosting testing and sequencing rates to track the virus and its emerging variants more closely. And now I say yes. Yes, yes, yes. With the France variant of M, I guarantee you that's going to be a problem in the next 3 to 4 months. We need to be ahead of that, okay? So Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, and all your other really big companies out there, get ahead of that one, all right? Don't let it get us in the end. Otherwise, we're going to suffer for the next 3 years. That one's a really bad one with the information that's coming out about it. And it's a subtle one, Jesse. It creeps up on you, it stays in you, and then it goes away, and then it comes right back 3 months later. It is a nasty one. You do not want to get in. You do not want to get it. So that one they need to be ahead of, and they need to start looking at it right now. He said, we can only do this with engaged and empowered communities, sustained financing, a focus on equity, and research and innovation. Basically, they need money. Now, is this a call for them to make money? Answer, no. In other words, they need to make sure that they have the right science out there in order to be ahead of it around the world. And that's what they really do. They really do help a lot of countries, especially Africa, where a lot of variants actually come out of, and they're really trying to get ahead of that. He said, let me put it plainly. If the current funding model continues, we're being set up to fail. Aha. Okay, I get that. The paradigm shift in world health that is needed now must be matched by a paradigm shift in funding the World Health Organization. I want to put it that way. That sounds like kind of like a mini commercial. I would put it this way. In order to help everybody, healthcare honestly needs to be financed. Now, who finances healthcare? Honestly, government. People don't understand this, but that's why Trump bailed, okay? He did not want to give in to the pool of money that the World Health Organization says, okay, we allocate for every single country. We do this for every single country. We share the information with every single country. And since you're a part of us, obviously, we're going to manage and make sure we're all okay, all right? They don't really work with the CDC. They're almost at odds with the CDC. And if you research CDC versus the World Health Organization, you kind of see why. Kind of, especially as of late, you kind of see the CDC is kind of interested in kind of like the economies of stuff rather than, hello, prevention of disease. Control that stuff, right? Obviously. But that is not kind of the normalcy of the CDC. The World Health Organization is more of that than the CDC, technically. Okay, and if you look at the workers on the front lines from the World Health Organization, these are people that give their everything. And some people leave their families in other countries to go serve in these other places in order to help them. Now, there's some countries that don't want them because they're superstitious, meaning they kind of are like in a mentality of, I'm just going to say it, voodoo, right? They're almost like you are the government that are going to infiltrate us and you're making us get sick with this stuff. And they're like, dude, we're trying to give you something against HIV, which, hello, is AIDS. But certain communities don't want that because they're like, no, we're fighting on our own. And basically they're killing their own, right? So it's like, do you want our help or not? We all know how bad HIV is here, right? It may not be the science that everybody researches, but if somebody has HIV, you want to know about it before you get intimate with them, right? Does that make sense? But in the world, there are certain populations that are very, I'm going to give you a few. Ghana is a place where a lot of political regime is kind of like fighting back and forth. Rwanda was that way, but they're not that way anymore. And there's a few others in like areas of Africa and other parts of the world that are kind of that way. They're very resistant to change. And you're like, are you wanting your people to die? And that's kind of what the World Health Organization kind of has to kind of go through and then kind of pull out because they're like, no, we don't want you. And then they attack their facilities. And you're like, what the heck? So don't believe the propaganda against the World Health Organization. That's called stupidity at its finest, known as certain local government institutions that like to be that guy. Sure, they'll rape and pillage your women, but they will not do the right thing. Kind of like the Taliban. Trust me, the Taliban will be like, don't come here. We don't want you to save us. Blah. We're going to save each other. You're like, God, you're stupid. So there you go. Ellie Gonzalez, social media, says, absolutely, I'm going to totally agree with you, Jesse. Avocado, yay. So she totally likes the avocado idea. I like that too. Paul Miller says, yay. Let's see, he's tuning in. And let's see. Judy says, I lived in Yuma, Arizona, in the Mohawk Valley before and loved the citrus trees. Pecan trees, I didn't even think about that. Pecans are smart nutrient nut. And the dates, oh yeah, dates are good. You know, they need a lot of water though. And figs, also need a lot of water. You don't think it, but they do. Also, all the other produce. My ex-late grandmother-in-law had a summer and winter garden, and we ate so good. Oh, I believe it, right? Oh, yum, 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 yum. Now, here in California, water is an issue. Why? I still don't know why. In other parts of the country, they're not. So I say, depending on the part of the state that you live in, for example, if you live in Georgia, it's actually okay. But if you live like in New York, not okay. If you live in like Colorado, okay. If you live in New Mexico, okay. If you live in, give me a state, Jesse.
Let's say Montana.
Montana, okay, right? All the central ones, oddly enough, are more okay than not. It's the outer edge outlying ones that are not okay, which makes no sense to me, right? It's like, well, then just give ocean water. I mean, isn't that the same thing? Which technically it is.
It has salt.
It doesn't matter. It's called, the salt goes into the nutrients, but it's the water that actually.
True, but can't you have too much salt in the snow, which will mess it up?
Well, in the snow, no, it actually melts away the snow.
Oh no, I was talking about ocean water.
No, I get it. No, if you bring a bunch of ocean water, okay. For our bodies, no. But for soil, it's fine. No one thinks about it. In the soil, all you need is get a bunch of ocean water, dump it in your garden. You'll be fine for, honestly, years to come. Nobody thinks about it because they don't know the science behind it. Salt doesn't kill fruit. Do you get that?
No, I'm not saying that it's killing the fruit. I'm saying it'll mess up the soil to where it won't grow as good or properly. I don't know. I'm not a gardener. I don't know. So
yeah, but no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We've never done the research, but botanists know this 100%. If you do a bunch of salt water and you like put that in your soil, you're fine for years to come. Nobody thinks about it that way though. They think like the body, where you can't drink a lot of salt water because it will dehydrate you. That is true. But in the soil is able to have so many minerals. Salt is not a killer of anything that comes out of the ground. I know that doesn't make sense, right? But
I understand that, but like if the salt levels are too high, it can disrupt the plant's ability to absorb stuff.
No. Oddly enough, no.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm just trying to make up some reasons why.
No. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just saying, like, if I lived near an ocean, I would get ocean water, dump it in the garden, and I have fruits for years. But nobody knows that. Will they be more salty? The answer is no, because the ground absorbs it and it kind of mixturizes it, if that makes any sense. So I know a lot of people don't think like this, but it's a different way of thinking. Survivalists know this. People that like go, hey, you probably never consider this. It's just we don't think about it that way. My point is this: you don't need fresh water to soil your lawn. If that makes any sense. But there you go. All right, so I need to take a quick little break. We'll be right back with more information and more news right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Take KMET 1490 AM with you everywhere you go by downloading our free smartphone apps found on the KMET website, KMET1490am.com. You can also go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store on your phone to download the free app. Now you can listen live or play any of your favorite programmers' podcasts using your smartphone. Go to KMET1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Fujan Zain. I'm a psychotherapist and a life coach for the past 30 years, and I'm the originator of the Awareness Integration Therapy. I'd love to be able to support you in any matters of life that shows up for you that you need support. So call me at 818-648-2140. I am available to do online therapy or coaching, anyone who's around the world. And you can also join me in my office in San Clemente, California, if you'd like to come to the office. So call me at 818-648-2140 or go to fujon.com. I look forward to hearing from you and having the opportunity to support you in things that are in your life and you just want to excel and create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you.
Hey, Mark's here. We want people should know about the new Italian radio show on KMET. Like my Uncle Vinny used to say, "Umbas non stunad."
Yes, indeed. There's no such words in Italian.
Forget about it. Tell them about the show.
The Italian Radio Show, presented by West Coast Italian Radio.
Mondays at 4 p.m. on KMET 1490, or stream us live 24/7 from our website at WCIR.biz.
Make sure to tune in.
You don't want them, we should have to tell you twice.
Welcome back. Yes, it is the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. And I'm doing research on this, not going to lie, because I want to make sure we get right information. And I will say this. If you have the saline not working in your soil, there are ways to help it along. For example, there are areas that get inundated with ocean water, like known as tsunamis, right? But you can rehabilitate the, basically whatever you're gardening there, eventually if you do these things. So this is kind of good information. But it's not saying that things will not grow. It's just saying they may kind of be inhibited. But my point is, rather that than not have anything at all, right? So my point is kind of that, if that makes any sense. There is a way to kind of remove the salt from the water by filtering it, but you still could basically take ocean water, filter it, and then you got water for days. Does that make sense? Because salt is granular, and there are ways to kind of ungranularize it, if that makes any sense, and then figure it out, right? But the first step is this. You can minimize any damage, like by a tsunami, on soil with 1 inch of water 3 to 4 times. Advises the University of Maryland Extension. Be aware that plants may have stunted growth, and you may have a smaller harvest, but you'll still have a harvest. That's my point. It just won't be as big as you wouldn't like it, right? It says it may be best to remove the plants and correct the soil before planting. If there is limited damage, you can completely remove and then replace them in small beds and potted plants. For larger areas, consider a soil test to determine the extent of salinity, right? Now, if it's a result of flooding, which, like, tsunami, be sure to remove any dead organisms, sewage, and other debris. That stuff kills it 100%. The materials can spread disease in your landscape. Then flush the excess salts from the soil by ponding water over the soil. That's according to the University of California Agriculture and Natural Resources. If the soil test reveals excess sodium in the soil itself, then you could correct it by adding gypsum to the soil. Now, there are a lot of plants that actually are resistant against salt. Asparagus, huge salt tolerance. Corn, huge salt tolerance. Soybean, moderate salt tolerance. So those are some things that you could totally plant and be okay with, right? And then, boom, there you go. American beach grass, which is a cool season perennial grass hardy in the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Honestly, it doesn't care about it. So there are some plants that you could totally plant and be okay with 100%. But there you go. Anyway, we ran out of time, but interesting information, right? All right. We'll see you.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to know about salinity, water, grass, all that stuff, and what you can grow in your front lawn.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. All right, people. We got to let you go. Judy says, I lived in Palmdale, California, and love the pomegranates and apricots. Ooh, pomegranates are smart, and they do not need a lot of water. Odd enough. Now you know. Okay, people, make it a great day. Oh, peaches, too, by the way. Really good for... Oh, man, I need some food. Bye-bye, everybody.